Very thing can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. These words weren't written in a comfortable study or during peaceful reflection. They were forged in the flames of human suffering, in places where hope seemed impossible. Yet from these depths emerged one of the most profound insights into human nature and our search for meaning. Viktor Frankl was both a prisoner and a witness, a neurologist, psychiatrist, and Holocaust survivor who experienced humanity at its worst, yet discovered something extraordinary about our capacity to find purpose even in the darkest moments. His journey from the concentration camps of Nazi Germany to becoming one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century teaches us something crucial about what happens when life loses its meaning, and more importantly, how we can reclaim it. Picture this. You wake up each morning, go through the motions of daily life, but feel a persistent emptiness inside. You have everything you thought you wanted, perhaps a good job, a comfortable home, even loving relationships, yet something fundamental feels missing. You find yourself asking, is this all there is? This feeling, this profound sense that life lacks meaning, is what Frankl called the existential vacuum. It's not just sadness or temporary disappointment. It's a deeper void, a hollowness that seems to echo through every aspect of existence. Frankl observed this phenomenon long before our modern age of digital distractions and consumer culture. In post-war Vienna, he noticed that many of his patients weren't suffering from traditional neuroses rooted in repressed desires or childhood trauma. Instead, they were experiencing what he termed neugenic neuroses, disorders arising from a spiritual or existential crisis. These people felt lost, purposeless, as if they were living in a world that had somehow lost its color and meaning. The existential vacuum manifests differently in each person, but its symptoms are remarkably consistent. Some people fill the void with endless busyness, racing from one activity to another, never stopping long enough to confront the emptiness within. Others turn to substances, relationships, or material possessions, desperately seeking something, anything, to fill the hollow space where meaning should reside. Depression becomes a frequent companion, not because of chemical imbalance alone, but because the soul itself feels malnourished, starved of purpose. But here's what makes Frankl's insight so powerful. He didn't develop these ideas in an ivory tower. He lived them. In the concentration camps, stripped of everything, his manuscript, his family, his freedom, his identity, he discovered that even in the most dehumanizing circumstances, one thing remained untouchable: his ability to choose his response to suffering. He watched fellow prisoners who had every reason to despair find ways to maintain their humanity, to help others, to hold on to hope. He saw that those who survived weren't necessarily the strongest physically, but those who maintained a sense of meaning, a reason to endure. This observation led Frankl to challenge the dominant psychological theories of his time. While Freud proposed that humans are primarily driven by the will to pleasure, and Adler suggested we're motivated by the will to power, Frankl argued for something deeper, the will to meaning. He believed that our fundamental drive isn't toward happiness or success, but toward significance, toward feeling that our lives matter, that our existence serves some greater purpose. The tragic irony of modern life is that we've gained unprecedented freedom to choose our path, yet many feel more lost than ever. Previous generations had their roles largely predetermined by tradition, religion, or social structure. Today's freedom brings both opportunity and burden. We must create our own meaning, forge our own path, decide for ourselves what makes life worth living. For many, this freedom becomes overwhelming, leading directly into the existential vacuum. Frankl distinguished between three sources of meaning in life. The first involves creating a work or doing a deed, finding purpose through our contributions to the world. This might be through career, art, service to others, or any activity that allows us to leave something valuable behind. The second source comes from experiencing values: love, beauty, truth, goodness. These experiences of transcendence lift us beyond ourselves and connect us to something greater. The third, perhaps most profound source, emerges from the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. When we can no longer change our circumstances, we can still choose how we respond to them. Consider Maria, a successful executive who came to therapy feeling completely empty despite her professional achievements. On paper, her life looked perfect: corner office, impressive salary, social status. Yet she described feeling like she was playing a role in someone else's movie. Through exploring Frankl's principles, she discovered that her work had become purely transactional, disconnected from any deeper values or purpose. The breakthrough came when she realized she could transform her leadership role into a platform for mentoring young professionals, particularly women facing similar struggles. Same job, completely different meaning. Or think about David, a retired teacher battling serious illness. Initially consumed by bitterness and fear, he eventually found meaning not despite his suffering, but through it. He began writing letters to former students, sharing wisdom gained through his health challenges. His pain didn't disappear, but it transformed from meaningless torment into a source of insight he could offer others. The suffering gained purpose, and with that purpose came a renewed sense of vitality, even in the face of physical decline. The existential vacuum often strikes hardest during life transitions: graduation, career changes, retirement, loss of loved ones, or empty nest syndrome. These moments force us to confront fundamental questions about who we are and why we're here. Without the familiar structures and roles that previously defined us, we must rediscover our core identity and purpose. This process, though challenging, offers tremendous opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Frankl's Logotherapy, literally meaning therapy through logos or meaning, provides practical tools for addressing the existential vacuum. One technique, called de-reflection, helps people stop obsessing over their problems and instead focus outward toward values and purposes beyond themselves. Another approach, paradoxical intention, encourages embracing rather than fighting anxiety, often revealing that our fears lose power when we stop running from them. The remedy for existential vacuum isn't found in grand gestures or dramatic life changes, though these sometimes play a role. More often, meaning emerges through small, consistent choices that align with our deepest values. The parent who chooses patience over frustration during a difficult day. The employee who brings integrity to mundane tasks. The friend who offers presence to someone struggling. These moments may seem insignificant, but they weave together to create a life of substance and purpose. Religion and spirituality often provide frameworks for meaning, but Frankl emphasized that meaning is ultimately personal and must be discovered rather than prescribed. What gives your life significance might be completely different from what fulfills your neighbor. The key is developing sensitivity to life's unique demands upon you, the specific calls to meaning that emerge from your particular circumstances, relationships, and capabilities. Modern society presents unique challenges to meaning-making. Social media creates constant comparison, making us feel inadequate despite our achievements. Consumer culture promises happiness through acquisition, yet material success often leaves people feeling more empty than before. The pace of change means traditional sources of meaning, career, community, family structures, shift rapidly, requiring constant readjustment of our sense of purpose. Yet these same modern realities also create unprecedented opportunities for meaning. Global connectivity allows us to contribute to causes beyond our immediate community. Extended lifespans provide multiple chances for reinvention and renewed purpose. Access to education and information enables deeper understanding of ourselves and our world. The challenge isn't lack of opportunity for meaning, but learning to recognize and embrace it amid so many distractions. The existential vacuum teaches us something profound about human nature. We are meaning-seeking creatures who literally cannot thrive without purpose. This isn't weakness or neuroticism, it's our fundamental design. Just as our bodies require nutrition and our minds need stimulation, our spirits need meaning. When that meaning is absent, we experience symptoms as real and debilitating as any physical illness. Recovery from existential vacuum rarely happens overnight. It requires patience with ourselves as we explore what truly matters to us. It demands courage to pursue authentic meaning rather than accepting society's prescribed definitions of success. It asks us to embrace responsibility for our choices while remaining open to life's unexpected invitations to growth and service. The journey toward meaning often begins with a simple question: What would you do if you knew you could not fail? This question bypasses our fears and reveals our deepest aspirations. Another powerful inquiry: what breaks your heart about the world? Often our greatest sources of meaning lie in addressing the problems that move us most deeply. Frankl believed that happiness cannot be pursued directly. It must ensue from meaningful action. When we focus primarily on feeling good, we often end up feeling empty. When we focus on doing good, contributing something valuable, or serving others, happiness becomes a byproduct of meaningful engagement with life. This insight revolutionizes how we approach both personal fulfillment and mental health. The legacy of Viktor Frankl extends far beyond psychology and therapy. His insights have influenced education, business leadership, spiritual practice, and social change movements. Organizations applying his principles report higher employee engagement and satisfaction. Educational approaches emphasizing meaning and purpose show improved student outcomes. Individuals who embrace his teachings often report greater resilience and life satisfaction. As we face an increasingly complex and rapidly changing world, Frankl's wisdom becomes even more relevant. Climate change, technological disruption, social fragmentation, and global uncertainty can easily trigger existential anxiety. Yet these same challenges offer opportunities for meaning, chances to contribute to solutions, to support others facing difficulties, to create something beautiful or beneficial in response to chaos. The existential vacuum isn't a pathology to be cured, but a calling to be answered. It signals that our soul is hungry for something more substantial than pleasure, comfort, or success. It invites us to discover what the poet Rainer Maria Rilke called our particular music, the unique contribution only we can make to the symphony of human existence. This calling often arrives disguised as dissatisfaction, restlessness, or even crisis. The successful person who feels empty despite achievements, the comfortable individual who yearns for something more, the busy person who feels like they're running on a treadmill to nowhere. These feelings, rather than problems to eliminate, might be invitations to deeper engagement with life's possibilities. Frankl's personal story provides perhaps the most powerful testimony to his principles. Imprisoned in concentration camps, stripped of everything he valued, his life's work, his family, his basic human dignity, he discovered that meaning could still be found in the smallest acts of compassion, moments of inner freedom, and commitment to future possibilities. He survived not because he was physically strongest, but because he maintained connection to purposes larger than his immediate suffering. This doesn't romanticize trauma or suggest that suffering is good in itself. Rather, it demonstrates the remarkable human capacity to find significance even in the most extreme circumstances. If meaning can be discovered in concentration camps, it can certainly be found in the challenges of ordinary life. Job loss, relationship difficulties, health problems, financial struggles, or simply the daily navigation of an imperfect world. The practical implications of Frankl's insights extend into every aspect of daily living. The parent who finds meaning not in controlling their children's every choice, but in providing love and guidance for their journey toward independence. The worker who discovers significance not in climbing corporate ladders, but in contributing skills and energy to endeavors that matter. The student who approaches education not merely as credential gathering, but as preparation for meaningful contribution to society. Even retirement and aging take on different significance through Frankl's lens. Rather than viewing later life as decline or diminishment, we can see it as opportunity for different kinds of meaning-making, sharing wisdom gained through experience, mentoring younger generations, engaging in service that wasn't possible during career-building years, or simply modeling how to age with dignity and grace. The death awareness that often intensifies as we age rather than source of despair can become catalyst for more intentional living. When we truly comprehend our mortality, trivial concerns lose their grip and essential priorities become clearer. Time becomes precious resource to be invested wisely rather than spent carelessly. Relationships deepen because we recognize their finite nature. Activities align more closely with values because we understand that opportunities for alignment are limited. Frankl's approach to death differed markedly from contemporary culture's tendency to deny or fear mortality. He saw death awareness as potentially liberating force that could free us from meaningless pursuits and focus us on what truly matters. The person who accepts their mortality often becomes more alive, more present, more committed to making their limited time count. This death awareness also illuminates the importance of legacy, not necessarily fame or fortune, but the ways our existence has mattered to others and contributed to the ongoing story of humanity. The teacher whose influence continues through students, the parent whose love shapes children who then extend that love to others, the friend whose loyalty demonstrates the possibility of trustworthy relationships, the citizen whose integrity contributes to social fabric. These legacies, often invisible to those who create them, represent profound forms of meaning that transcend individual mortality. Communities and cultures also experience collective existential vacuum when they lose sense of shared meaning and purpose. Societies focused solely on economic growth, military power, or technological advancement without connecting these achievements to human flourishing often experience social problems that reflect underlying meaninglessness. Crime, addiction, mental health epidemics, and social fragmentation can partly be understood as symptoms of collective existential crisis. The remedy involves rebuilding communities around shared values and common purposes that honor individual dignity while fostering mutual responsibility. This might manifest through neighborhood organizations focused on local improvement, religious communities dedicated to service and spiritual growth, professional associations committed to ethical practice, or civic groups working for social justice and environmental protection. Frankl believed that democracy itself depends on citizens who understand their freedom as responsibility to contribute to common good rather than license to pursue purely personal interests. A society of individuals seeking only their own pleasure, comfort, or advancement cannot sustain the mutual trust and shared sacrifice that democratic institutions require. Meaning-centered living naturally generates the civic virtues necessary for healthy communities and just societies. The environmental crisis provides perhaps the most urgent contemporary example of collective meaning-making opportunity. Climate change challenges us to transcend short-term personal interests for longer-term planetary survival. This transcendence, precisely what Frankl identified as essential for meaning, offers profound sense of purpose to individuals and communities willing to embrace it. The young person choosing career in renewable energy, the family adjusting lifestyle to reduce environmental impact, the community organizing around sustainable practices. Each finds meaning through contributing to purposes larger than immediate self-interest. Global challenges like poverty, disease, injustice, and conflict similarly offer meaning-making opportunities for those who choose engagement over apathy. The recognition that our lives are interconnected with others across the globe can provide profound sense of purpose and responsibility. Whether through direct service, financial support, political advocacy, or simply maintaining informed compassion for human suffering, individuals can find meaning through contributing to global human welfare. If this exploration of meaning and purpose resonates with you, consider subscribing to our channel where we continue examining life's deepest questions and most practical wisdom. Share this message with someone who might be searching for their own sense of meaning, because as Frankl reminds us, those who have a why to live for can bear almost any how.